Pilot who helped save the lives of two men seriously injured when their microlight crashed in Woodland has received a special award. After hearing a mayday call, Steve Clarehugh took off from Eshott Airfield in Northumberland so he could spot the wreckage from the air.
He then landed close to the crash site at Burgham Golf Club and guided other helpers to the area, where they cleared a path for the emergency services. The injured men, one of them a pilot with the Great North Air Ambulance, say if it hadn't been for his help, they probably wouldn't have survived. Leslie McNish reports.
I think we're about 12 feet above the middle of the field. Then it does happen when the tail comes off, or the elevator comes off, the nose drops. And you can't pick the nose up again, really, because you pull the stick back and nothing happens. Jim let out a mayday just to let people, because we were on Eshott's frequency, to let people know that we were obviously had a serious problem when we were going down.
We heard an aircraft calling that it was joining overhead to come into land here, and then we heard the word mayday, and we both looked at each other and we thought, well, we couldn't accept that we'd heard the mayday.
Seconds later, Steve, who's a flying instructor at Eshott Airfield near Felton in Northumberland, got another call saying a microlight had crashed into woods at nearby Burgham Golf Club. He jumped into his plane and flew over the area to find it.
The first thing we saw was the tail lying in the field, and that again was quite away from where the main aircraft had come down. But the benefit of being up above it was we could see actually down through the trees to the ground, and we saw the aircraft. I knew if I got down I could switch the fuel off and help or whatever, and so I landed on the 8th fairway at Burgham, and we scrambled over through the brambles and down to where the crash site was.
Steve recognised the injured men, paramedic John Kerr from Rothbury and Great North Air Ambulance pilot Jim Martin from Hexham. They co-owned the microlight and had been flying for years.
Both pilots were seriously injured and spent months in hospital. They're now recovering at home, but they say if it hadn't been for the actions of Steve and the club members here who raced to their aid before the emergency services arrived, they probably wouldn't be alive today.
John, who can't remember anything about the accident on December the 30th, only got out of hospital a few weeks ago. And Jim, who survived a helicopter crash 20 years ago and a recent climbing accident, probably won't be walking until next December. Steve has now received a commendation from the Skywatch Civil Air Patrol, his second for bravery. 2 years ago, the former taxi driver guided a stricken plane down in the dark using his car headlights.
He's the sort of man who, when a situation arises, he'll take hold of that situation and sort it out.
I just seemed to be in the right place at the right time. You know, I don't sit waiting for the phone to ring. It happened. I was there, and I just did what I knew I could do.
Something his injured friends will always be grateful for. Leslie McNish, ITV Tyne Tees, Northumberland.